Hello my friends, welcome back to a blind let's play of Ever 17 the Outfit 50 for the PC. My name is FlightlessBird, this is your story-based gaming channel, and today, maybe we get some answers? I don't know, I'm not wasting time, let's jump right into it. I'm the same as you. That's why I know about the world you live in and the world I live in. So, do you understand now? All the dots. I know everything you know. And we know everything you know. I know some things that you don't know yet. Okay. I thought there was going a different direction there. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Things you don't know yet means things you will come to know later. All the dots. But maybe I'm telling you way too much stuff, so your mind is getting all mixed up. But I can tell you that you'll understand it one day. So I'll say it again. You absolutely can't lie to yourself, okay? Okay, understand? I don't understand. Of course I don't understand. Here we go again. Coco, what are you? Why did you suddenly appear in front of me? At those words, Coco's face suddenly clouded over. She scrunched up her face and drew her eyebrows together. Tears welled up in her eyes. She blinked to hide them and spoke brightly. I wanted to see you. I've been waiting for you. Waiting and waiting for you to come. I wanted to see you more than anything. I want to see you again. I've been waiting here by myself, all by myself. Coco's words drifted into my heart and melted like a light snow. We gazed at each other without speaking. It wasn't what the words said so much as that she said them at all that moved me so deeply. Before I sought the meaning, I let the simple power of her true feelings flow straight into my trembling heart. I couldn't take my eyes off of Coco's sad, tear-filled eyes. All the dots. All the dots. Coco laughed softly. I could tell it was forced cheer. The bravery of that laugh gripped at my heart. I'm sorry, I have to go. We'll be apart again for a little while. What? Okay, before I go, I'll tell you something pretty juicy. But I'm pretty sure you've already figured it out. All the questionable dots? Hokutan, that dream you saw, it wasn't a dream. It actually happened, okay? Don't forget what I just said, alright? All the dots. See you later, Hokutan. The next moment, she was gone. Without a sound, just gone. Like a candle snuffed out by a wandering night draft. And then I lost consciousness. I sank down into the darkness for a minute. Pull yourself together, man. I shook my head and gathered my wits. Aww. Look how happy she looks. And hugging Mr. Dolphin. Aww, it's such an adorable picture. It's a Coco card show. First skit, what if a dolphin was salmon roe? Wow, big load today. Tons of salmon. Let's see. Open them up. Cut, cut. Whoa, what's this? The dolphins will point out of the salmon. Hundreds of them. Oh no, Mommy, emergency. The reason I had blacked out must have been Coco's microwaves. They got me. I still hadn't built up immunity to them. It was pretty rough. Why didn't I ever learn? Why was it that every time I wandered around, my feet kept taking me to her? It was strange. I wondered if she was drawing me to her with some mysterious frequency. Anyway, having finished breakfast, I wandered around the Mew and got sucked into the souvenir shops. Coco-chan's joke, if a dolphin was a corpse? Oh, thank you for coming such a long way. My sincere condolences. Would you like to see my husband's face? Oh well, certainly. God, I love the voice actress. She's so good. Just makes me smile. Whoa! An eternally sleeping dolphin, and its belly up too. He looks so peaceful, as if he'd jump up any second. Except he couldn't say that because you wouldn't be able to see his face. Coco pattered along, shaking a huge stuffed dolphin. Several smaller stuffed animals were strewn around the cockpit. From the looks of the empty cabinet nearby, it appeared that she had pulled them all down from their places on the shelf. It was such a childish thing to do. A child. But Coco was 14. A 14-year-old who still played with stuffed animals. I wondered if it was really alright to let her just grow up like that. Hey, I like stuffed animals. Especially penguins. Yeah, I love stuffed penguins. They're so adorable. But when I saw her innocent laughing face, I didn't have the heart to scold her. I suppose she would probably be happiest just being the way she was. Yeah, always be true to yourself. Coco continued to crack herself up, and I continued to watch. When her amusement died down a little, I called to her. Hey, Coco, where's Pipi? Pipi? I think he's right over there somewhere. I looked around the kiosk. There. Pipi was gripping a stuffed animal's tail in his teeth, shaking it back and forth crazily. It was a stuffed lemur doll. He seemed completely engrossed on it. Hey, Takepion, what you doing over there?
What am I doing, huh? You look so happy that just watching you is making me happy. So I guess you could say that by watching you, I've slipped into a happy, stupid state.
Takepion, you're falling in love with me, aren't you?
What?
You like me, don't you? wow, I can't believe it. He's finally told me how he feels.
恥ずかしい照れる
How embarrassing. I'm blushing.
やだやだもうどうしようどうしよ
Oh my gosh, it crashed. What did I do? Bam, bam. Coco balled up her fist and started popping the dolphin's belly with brutal right hooks. Punch after punch, again and again, until the cotton started to come out.
うほいじゃお礼と言ってはなんだけど
Well, to thank you.
ここの新作のコメント聞かせてあげようか
Shall I tell you a new joke?
No, that's okay.
どうして遠慮しなくてもいいのに
Why not? You don't have to be polite. I want to hear Coco's new joke.
Oh, believe me, I'm not being.
ココちゃんのアメリカンジョーク看護婦と医者
Coco Char's joke about the doctor and the nurse. Ignoring my pleas, Coco launched into a joke. Yay! We gotta hear the joke. All the dots. It was very long. Aww! They're not gonna let me hear the joke. It was not funny. Aww. It was so bad, in fact, that I couldn't even muster a polite chuckle. It went like so. A nurse named Kate. Oh, we did hear the joke. A nurse named Kate was desperately in love with Robert, a doctor who worked at the same hospital. Robert was crazy about Kate as well. Kate stood on the left side of the room, and Robert stood on the right. Kate slipped out of her white uniform and hung it on the closet door. Robert stripped his uniform off in a bit of a hurry and simply dropped it on the floor. Kate lowered her panties. Robert threw off his boxers. Yeesh! This is getting serious. Kate's body was lovely and supple, and Robert was lean and muscled. Kate put on the silk pajamas she had bought for the occasion. Still naked, Robert turned off the light. Standing on the left of the bed, Kate turned slowly to the right. On the right side of the bed, Robert turned easily to the left. And they jumped into the bed and slept. Oh, by the way, Kate was sleeping in the night duty room and Robert was sleeping in his room at home. Oh, jeez. They're not even in the same location. That's a joke. Hey, what's with the face? Okay, yeah, that is a pretty bad joke. Ha, I bet you were imagining something dirty, weren't you? That was the punchline. Oh boy, yeah, that's... Coco's laugh was loud enough to hear across the Pacific Ocean. If there were any nuclear submarines nearby, their sonar guys were probably laughing too. Even I felt the corners of my mouth twitching. Obviously, the joke wasn't funny, but Coco was so amused at the unamusing joke that it was hilarious. Yeah, sometimes when someone's not being funny just because of laughing, you still laugh because they're laughing too. It's contagious. All was well. I thought that to myself. According to what we heard from Sora on the second day, Lemieux's partitions would reach the structural limit in only one more day. So how was it that I felt so calm? Maybe Coco's innocence was contagious. I wasn't even tense. I was laughing, lounging around. If I stayed like that, it could be dangerous. It was fine for Coco to be innocent, but if I got swept away in it, it could be fatal. The thought ran through my head, but as I looked at her smiling face, I couldn't hold onto caution. It was too peaceful. It was like being in a dream. I was in a dream. After Coco disappeared, I blacked out. Maybe I was still stuck in that state. And in the dream, I felt choked and oppressed. I was like being plastered up inside thick walls. Unable to move, only my eyes could follow the images before me. I earnestly followed after the fragments of scenes that unfolded before me.
北端で見たあの夢は夢じゃないからね
Hooktan, that dream you saw, it wasn't a dream.
現実に起こったことだからね
It actually happened, okay? I thought about it. That dream? The dream I had on the third day right before I woke up?
北端は個々のいる世界のこと知ってるはずでしょ
You know all about the world I'm in, right?
そこにはマヨちゃんがいなくてつぐみんが怪我しちゃって顔の違うもう一人の自分が存在して
Maru-chan's not there, and Suguma got hurt, and there's another you with a different face. Sugumi injured, meaning it had actually happened? But no, it couldn't be. The warehouse was still fine. And Sugumi was as perky as ever. What could it mean?
絶対に自分に嘘をついちゃダメだよ
You absolutely can't lie to yourself, okay? Coco's words ran together. The scattered fragments of images began to come together a little until I could make out a vague outline. But I still couldn't see the whole picture at once. It was like a freakishly large mural. Since I was imprisoned in those walls, there was no way to see the whole thing. What to do? Escape from those walls? Escape from those walls. When I pushed my face out through the wall, I woke up. I was in the infirmary. I looked around. I was alone. I ran out of the infirmary and headed toward Twitterstock. If Coco was right and there really had been an accident and Tsugumi was injured, in any case, I would find Tsugumi and discover the truth for myself. But I didn't know where Tsugumi was. So I headed to the control room first. Sora was sure to be there. And Sora would know where Tsugumi was. I opened the door. Sora, where's Tsugumi right now? I ran into the room and yelled in a loud voice. What?
小町さんならここに。
Komachi-san is right here. Sure enough, there she was. Tsugumi on a chair turned around to me.
どうしたの？そんなに慌てちゃって。
What happened? Why are you in such a hurry? Well? Tsugumi, look, sorry, but... On the spur of the moment, I lifted up Tsugumi's skirt.
何するのよ！
Hey, what are you doing? Oof. A resounding slap. But it didn't hurt. As a matter of fact, it seemed to have lost all feeling in my entire body. Because I had seen, on Tsugumi's right thigh, a faint scar. What is that scar?
傷？
Scar? The scar on your thigh.
これは、
This
これはただの古傷よ。
is just an old scar. So could this have actually been 17 years in the future of Takeshi's route? And she actually did get injured here? Old scar? From when?
ずっと昔。
Oh, a long time ago.
ずっと昔のこと。
A really, really long time ago. Like how long ago? Where? Where did you get hurt?
それは、
It was... I was trapped in a gondola. I couldn't move. Oh, come on! Stop jumping back and forth! I couldn't even shift my eyes. Past the skirt I was holding, I could see the white of her underwear. The smooth curve of her thigh. Her smooth, silky skin. The scar. There was definitely a scar there. But it looked like something that had healed years ago, leaving only the faint mark of stitches that once closed a wound. So the scar didn't come from the accident.
今から12年前、私はあるウイルスに感染した。
12 years ago, I was infected with a virus.
そのウイルスのおかげで、ウイルスのせいで、
Because of that virus, the virus,
私の遺伝子のコードは書き換えられてしまった。
it rewrote my genetic code.
細胞は日々生まれ変わっている。
Cells are reborn every day.
生まれ変わり、そして死んでいく。
They are reborn and then they die.
通常、人間の体細胞は5年後には全て入れ替わる。
Normally, the human body is totally replaced with new cells within 5 years.
12歳の時ウイルスに感染した私の細胞は、その瞬間からゆっくりと細胞分裂を繰り返し、
When I was 12, the cells of my body were infected, and from that moment on, they divided and replaced themselves.
5年後、細胞は全て入れ替わった。
5 years later, all cells had been replaced.
つまり、私の肉体を構成する全ての細胞の遺伝情報が5年の歳月を経て、
In 5 years, every cell that made up my body had been genetically altered.
最後の一つとなった細胞が死んだ時、
And when the last of the cells had died,
12歳の時の私は跡形もなく消え去ってしまった。
the last trace of my 12-year-old self disappeared.
そして古い私は死んだ。
In that moment, the old me died.
古い私は死に、新しい私は死なない体になっていた。
The old me died, but the new me became a body that never dies.
私の免疫機能、並びに代謝効率は著しく能力向上し、
My immune system and my metabolic rate were remarkably improved.
テロメアが回復し続けるようになっ
My telomeres began to regenerate themselves.
た。そう、
That's right.
私は決して老いず死ななくなった。
I will never grow old and never die.
私の成長はその時に止まったままなの。
My physical growth stopped at that moment in time.
17歳のまま決して老いることはないの。
I'll never go older than 17. The Curie Virus. The Curie Virus is a type of retrovirus. Like many retroviruses, the Curie Virus is not contagious across species. When people simply say the Curie Virus, they're actually referring to the human version of the virus. There are variants such as the monkey-specific Curie, the rat-specific Curie, but from here on out we'll only be referring to the human strain. Retroviruses turn the host's RNA into DNA with reverse transcriptase, and then inject that DNA back into the host's genes. This means they can directly rewrite the host's blueprint. Infected cells, which go on processing proteins as usual, then unwittingly reproduce the virus. At the same time, the cells within the rewritten DNA go on to divide and multiply, spreading throughout the body like cancer cells. Normally, when cancer cells develop in a body, the body repulses them with the p53 function located on the 17th chromosome. p53 creates certain enzymes and proteins, and then when there has been damage done to a gene, it stops replication or causes apoptosis, natural cell death, and works to repair the damaged DNA, thus earning its name the anti-cancer gene. The Curie Virus mutates this p53 gene as well, rendering it useless. Thus, the Curie-infected cells can spread throughout the body uncontested. Then, once all the DNA code is rewritten, the host literally becomes a new species. A new species. We'll just call it the Curie species here. The Curie species body is endowed with the following unique characteristics. 1. Self-regeneration of the telomeres. 2. Great improvement in self-healing. Telomeres are the base sequence located at either end of a chromosome and generally become shorter with every replication. After a certain number of divisions, the telomere gets so short that the cell can no longer divide. So telomeres are like the bus tickets of cell division. Once you spend them, they're gone. But not the Curie species. This new body produces an enzyme called telomerase, which allows unlimited recycling of the bus tickets that normally would already have been spent. This allows for almost endless cell division to continue, thereby eliminating aging and weakening. Having said all that, this is not a particularly unusual phenomenon. It happens every day in normal reproductive cells, even in most cancer cells. There is rarely a shortage of telomeres. In that sense, it is not impossible to say that the Curie virus turns every cell in the body cancerous. On the other hand, there is no similarly tangible mechanism yet in place for dealing with the process of self-healing. But metabolism is activated and the rate of cell generation is greatly increased. And it is believed that this is what so dramatically shortens the time required to heal after an illness or injury. Actually, there is one more distinguishing characteristic of the Curie species, which is infrared vision. Wait. Whoa. One more distinguishing characteristic of the Curie species is infrared vision? So that means KID and Sarah had the Curie virus? Because in its production, it lost the faculties of p53. The Curie species possesses a constitution extremely vulnerable to ultraviolet rays. The DNA in skin cells is quickly damaged when exposed to the sun for any duration, causing those cells to become cancerous. For a normal human, thanks to the cancer suppression gene, damaged DNA is let die or repaired. But the Curie species cannot do this. It was possible to use another gene to produce an enzyme to perform the same function as p53, but alas, the solution proved to be limited. Therefore, Curie species are very vulnerable to ultraviolet rays and can only venture outside at night. The infrared vision was developed to make up for this shortcoming.
私にはそういう特殊な能力がある。
I had this unique ability. Having finished a long talk on the Curate Virus, Sugumi brought that up.
物体に触れることなくその温度を見ることができるのよ。
Without touching something, I can see its temperature.
赤外線視力インフラビジョンとも言うらしいけど
Infrared vision is also called infravision.
So on the second day, when you stood in front of the power generating room and knew that was too hot, that was because of your infrared vision?
ええ
Yes.
Well, how about that? Infravision. Interesting.
疑わないの
You don't doubt me. She tilted her head like she was surprised.
信用するの私のたわごとを
You believe all this nonsense I've been telling you?
Well, it's an unbelievable story. Viruses, DNA, bodies that would die, it's crazy. I can't believe it, but I don't doubt it. If you say so, it must be true. So I guess I have to believe it.
The instant I said that, my body was being pulled. Although she wasn't abnormally strong, I found it impossible to resist her. It was a natural, flowing movement, inside the white gondolas. Sugumi's body was covering mine. I felt her breath. I felt her pulse. I felt the warmth of her body. A fragrant smell wafted from her neck. A musky smell. A sweet smell.
嘘でしょ
You're kidding, right? She smiled coldly and gazed at me.
簡単に信じるなんてそんなこと
Don't just say I believe so easily.
You think it's irresponsible?
ええ無責任
It's very irresponsible.
なぜ信じられるの何の根拠があるっていうの
How can you believe me? On what basis?
None. I have absolutely no basis.
ほらやっぱり
You see. Raising an eyebrow, she put her hand on my neck.
いい加減にしなさいよ
Will you cut it out already? She gave me a look that turned my spine to ice. But her hands were trembling. Her coldness was contrived.
Calm down, Sugumi.
I spoke slowly, breathing deliberately.
First of all, do you really need a reason to trust people?
All the dots.
Yeah, that's so, then you don't have to trust me. Doubt me all you want. But I believe you, even if no one else does, I do. I accept the truth.
そんな
But
そんなことできるはずない
there's no reason you should be able to do that.
But I can. I want to understand you. Even if it's hard for me to believe, if it's the truth.
All the dots.
A scar on your right leg, it's almost healed, right?
ええ
Yes.
Well, I can't believe it, but that wound is almost healed. Well, that's the reality, right?
そうよ
That's right.
Show it to me again. I'll accept things as they are.
見たいの
You want to see it? She removed her hand.
本当に見たいの
You really want to see? Her voice trembled faintly. She was speaking slowly in control.
見たらあなたは後悔するかもしれない
If you look, you might regret it.
もしも全てを知ったら
If you knew everything,
こんなの人間じゃないって思うかもしれないわ
you might think that there's no way I could be human.
You don't want me to look? If you show me, maybe you'll regret it?
All the dots.
Now, the fact that you're not answering, was that a stupid question?
All the dots.
Well, if you don't answer, I'm going to look whether you want me to or not.
やめてよ
Don't.
勝手に決めないで
Don't decide for me.
嫌だなんて
I didn't say.
嫌だなんて私言ってな
I
い
didn't say that I want to show you. The room slid into darkness.
だったら見て
Then look.
目をそらさないで見て
Don't flinch. Look
全部
at everything.
たけしにだけは全部見せてあげるから
I'll show you. Only you. I heard the sound of unfastening in the darkness of the gondola. In the faint moonlight, the deep sea shined blue. Floating up into the darkness, it was a wound, once etched deeply, but since healed to almost nothing. I had to squint to see. I might not have known if I hadn't gently run my fingers over them. Scars. All over her body. Minutely etched countless scars. Segumi's shoulders shook with her weeping. She cried silently. I grasped her shoulders. I pulled her to me fiercely. Tears wet the floor. Segumi cried in my arms, on my breast like a child. I wanted Segumi, and she wanted me. She accepted all of me, and I accepted all of her. We overlapped until we became one. All the dots. My head rested neatly on Segumi's legs. She was sitting on her heels. I felt the lovely softness of her flesh on the back of my head. The gondola had circled the floor many times and was moving again through the darkness.
What's that?
I looked above to see Segumi holding something in her hand. She was clicking what looked like a pen.
I think I heard that same sound in front of the generator room.
赤外線レーザーの照射装置。
It's an infrared laser. She smiled quietly and muttered.
What?
これがあると何かと便利なの。
It's convenient to have this.
私みたいな特殊能力の持ち主にはね。
If you have a special ability like mine.
Mm-hmm. You're basically doing with your eyes the same thing an infrared night scope camera does, right? If you flash an infrared ray, it makes it easier to see in the dark. And since normal people can't see the infrared rays, it looks just dark. But if you have infrared vision, you can see as clearly as you can see at high noon.
Segumi nodded.
そうよ。
That's right.
どんな暗闇でも大丈夫なの。
I'm fine, no matter how dark it is. Segumi giggled as she covered up her bare chest. When she laughed, it jostled me too. Right about the time that it stopped.
ねえ、たけし、ちょっと起きて。
Hey, Takeshi, can you get up? I sat up as ordered.
いい？今から3つ数えるから。
I'm going to count down from 3.
その間、目つぶったらダメよ。
Don't close your eyes the whole time, okay?
Huh?
3、2、1。
3, 2, 1. There was a sound.
What did you just do?
I blinked.
焼き付けたの。
I burned an image.
あなたをね、焼き付けたのよ。
I burned an image of you.
Burned?
うん。あなたの姿をしっかりと焼き付けたの。
Yup, and burned a pretty good one, too.
ここと、
Here. She pointed at her chest.
それから、
And
ここに。
here, too, okay?
Huh?
I could see because of the shadow of her hand. She was holding something. Something besides the laser. In the darkness, I heard the sound of a thin chain.
Huh?
I didn't know what it was.
What do you mean by here? Tell me.
内緒。
It's a secret. All she would give me was a mischievous smile. The hologram pendant. Wait. So that's Takeshi. That's Takeshi. But we said we don't recognize this person in the image. So is that Takeshi and Takeshi's route different from the Takeshi in our route? Just like KID was different. The hologram pendant. I thought back to the image in Sarah's hologram pendant. That means the image in the pendant was of a different Kurinari Takeshi. And Segumi has infrared vision like Sarah and me. Which means, our parents are...
どうしたの？
What is it? My brain exploded multiple
大
times.
丈夫ですか？少年さん。
Are you alright, Kid-san? Can you do a DNA test on me and Segumi? Is that possible?
顔色が悪いようですけど。
You don't look so good. I shook my head shivered as I stepped slowly backward. My back bumped against the wall. It can't be.
Eh?
Huh? No. No, no, no. I let out a cry that was almost a scream. Swinging around, I opened the door and ran out of the control room. I wanted to get away, as far away as I could. I wanted to find a place where no one could find me. I pounded up the emergency stairs. I ran forward in a dark haze. I ran as if I could escape the fear that threatened to overwhelm me. Farther and farther away. But in that confined space, there was nowhere I could run to. Eventually, I reached the end of the corridor and ended up in front of the jellyfish gondola. There was no way past the closed watertight doors. I stood in front of a decorated arch. The gondola had to be somewhere beyond the gates, which were veiled in darkness. In the gondola, Tsugumi and the real Kotaro Uchikoshi. It's impossible. I tried to purge the thought from my mind, but the suspicion mercilessly attacked my brain until I could no longer think straight. The battle between denial and acceptance, I writhed in pain, sinking feet further into a trench of despair. In my mind, there was only one possibility. I was almost convinced of the certainty of it. On the other hand, I hated the possibility so much that I wanted with all my heart to reject it. I put my hand on my chest, breathing in deeply, and tried to calm my thoughts. If it was true that Tsugumi had infrared vision, and if the incident I witnessed in the jellyfish gondola really did happen, the Kotaro Uchikoshi and Kamachi Tsugumi who had existed in the other world would be our parents. No, it can't be. I was once again overwhelmed by feelings of denial. Sarah and I were 16. If Tsugumi had given birth to us, then it would have been 16 years ago. Huh? I suddenly felt as if I had been hit by lightning. My head was filled with a blinding light. Suddenly, kicking off the floor, I broke into a run. It was 2017, so 16 years prior would have been 2001. The world I had seen was 2000. Wait a minute. What if the year wasn't 2017? I opened the door of the security office and stumbled into the room. As I suspected, I found you there. Hey, you? Breathing heavily, I approached you.
何を突然
What is it?
どうしたのなんかあったの
What is it? What's wrong? This year. What year is it?
Huh?
Just answer me. You blinked slowly, her mouth half open. Well? I glared at you and pressed her for an answer. A little overwhelmed by my enthusiasm, you seemed a bit disconcerted.
今は西暦で言うと
On the standard calendar?
2034
20?
年だけど
34. Why? So was my theory correct yesterday? Did we... Is this 17 years in the future? But then if it is 17 years in the future, how is... How is everything, like, so the same? Oh, come on! Don't go back here! Ugh!
It's 2017. So 2013 was 4 years ago.
I said to you. You and I were alone in the security office. You had suddenly asked me to come see her and started talking about what had happened in 2013. No, I probably had seen it coming. Just before she had spoken to me, you had hinted indirectly that she had changed her mind and needed someone to confide in. Her expression was solemn, like a nun about to seek redemption. Yu's eyes were empty of emotion, and at the same time, her gaze showed an unconditional compassion, impartial, demanding nothing, asking nothing. After a short while,
そう
that's right,
今から4年前
it was 4 years ago,
これは私がまだ14歳だった頃の話
when I was 14. You began to quietly tell a story. Yubesi Harukana had a serious heart condition. She hadn't been born with it. In 2013, when she was 14, she had suddenly fallen ill. One day, you had suddenly collapsed. She was examined at the hospital, and the doctor told her, "This is very hard for me to tell you, so I want you to please listen calmly. You have a very serious heart condition. It's unclear whether you'll even make it to the end of high school." That meant that she only had 3 or 4 more years to live. A transplant was out of the question, and even with treatment, she would only suffer, and they couldn't guarantee her a cure. There was no way left for her to survive. She had received a death sentence. But medical treatment is advancing daily. In a few years, we may still find a cure. So don't give up, you have to fight this illness. With the doctor's hollow consolation, emptiness took over her mind. 2014. Her fear of her approaching death was growing. One day, while she was at the hospital, she met a gentleman. Through the course of the meeting, she and the gentleman came to trust one another and became very close. It was a close relationship, like the bond between a parent and a child, between a father and a daughter. Yubise Harukana had grown up without knowing a father's warmth. Perhaps she was seeking from him the love from the father she had never known. As for the gentleman, he had a daughter close to her age. When he found out about Yu's illness, he felt as much sympathy as he would have for his own daughter. They were close, like a parent and child, joined by a strong feeling like love. Having built up a trust, Yubise Harukana one day confessed her fear, her despair, and her agony to him. With a serious look on his face, the gentleman said, "Come to my lab." His name was Marino Shigezo. Dr. Marino was a world authority in genetic engineering. In November of that year, after making up her mind, Yubise Harukana visited the doctor's lab. There are 3 types of immortality. The first is immortality of the body. The second is of memory. And the third of the gene. How would you like to try the third kind? The doctor presented that extraordinary plan to her with the calmness of a scientist, his tone matter of fact. Your heart problem was acquired after birth rather than be something you were born with. So if you choose the third option, you don't have to worry about passing the condition on to your children. There is nothing for you to worry about. Ever since being told that she would die, she had been terrified at the approaching shadow of death. Not a night would go by that she didn't rail against her misfortune, all the while clawing at her chest in agony. She had given up on life and was no more than an empty shell. But that day, she was suddenly able to see a glimmer of hope. The doctor's words convinced her, and her way of thinking gradually changed. If I only have a few more years to live, I at least want to leave something of myself behind in this world. Her tenacity for life defied imagination. She finally made the decision. She chose the third option. 1 month later, December of 2014, Yubise Harukana had the nucleus from one of her own cells implanted in her own ovaries, which then began to grow in her womb. Of course, Dr. Marino performed the surgery. She was pregnant with her new self. This is very Jurassic World right now. If you know, you know. If you don't know, well, you don't know, but yeah. 9 months later, September 22nd, 2015, Yubise Harukana safely gave birth.
あなたは私の子供。
My baby,
あなたは私の妹。
you are my sister.
そしてあなたは
You are me,
私自身。
myself. Yubise Harukana loved the new child with all of her heart and gave her a name. She called her Yubise Akikana. Yes, Yubise Akikana was Yubise Harukana's daughter. And at the same time, they were not the only mother and daughter, but also shared the same genetic design, just like twins. What a twist of fate. Did she do it out of the madness that came from being so close to death? But still, look at the lively face of the newborn child. Look at how pure its smile is, how bright its new life shines. Could anyone watch something as simple as its earnest attempts to grab something and believe that the baby was a tragedy? Was it a sin to create a life? Was it a sin to want life? The baby smiled happily. Sometimes it cried. And as if it were asking, is it a sin to be alive? Monday, May 1st, 2017. Yubise Harukana, who had become a student at Kyokan Women's College, had started working part-time at Lemieux during the holidays. She wanted to find a clue about her father, Yoichi, who had gone missing 17 years ago. Her mother, Yuki, kept telling her, "Your father fell into the ocean and drowned, but you didn't believe it." She held onto the hope that he was still alive somewhere. She had left her 1-year-old daughter, Yubise Akikana, with her mother, so she was not worried about her. Yubisei Harukana's heart had almost reached its limit. She had given birth safely, but could no longer escape the fate which awaited her. There was only one thing left she wanted to do. Before she died, she wanted to find out whether her father was still alive. The father who had disappeared when she was a year old. She had looked at his photo until it had become ragged and torn, but had no memories of his warmth or ever having been held by him. For that reason, she waved off all of the doctor's attempts to stop her and came to Lemieux. She wanted to find out about her father. What had happened 17 years ago, she wanted to reveal the truth. As her story ended, you reached for a file that was on the control panel. She opened it and silently passed it to me.
So, the baby was your child?
All the dots.
Which means, you were lying to me.
嘘じゃないよ。
It wasn't a lie.
この子は確かに私の娘。
She is my daughter.
でも娘であると同時に双子の妹でもあるの。
But she's also my twin sister.
そして
And
彼女はもう一人の私。
she's another me.
私自身でもあるのよ。
She is myself. I didn't know what to say.
これが私の犯した罪。
This was my sin.
決して許されることのない永遠の宿業。
I know I'll never be forgiven and will never be able to atone for it.
だけど
But
前にも言ったように後悔はしてないんだ。
like I told you, I have no regrets.
あの子を産んでよかったと思ってる。
I'm glad I had her.
All the dots.
新しい命が芽生えたあの瞬間を私は決して忘れない。
I'll never forget the moment that new life was created.
それは福音の訪れた瞬間だった。
It was such an unbelievably happy moment.
ママ、ママってあの子が初めて言った時、
The first time she said, Mama, Mama.
私うまく言えないけど、
I can't explain it.
尊さとか愛とか幸福とかそういうのをはるかに超えてとても大きな光の波に包み込まれたような気がして。
It was more than a precious feeling, or love, or that good fortune had come my way. I felt as if I were wrapped in light.
私は地獄に落ちてもいい。
I don't care if I burn in hell.
何千年、何万年、何億年と地獄の豪華に身を焼かれても構わない。
I don't care if I burn in the fires of hell for thousands, millions of years.
でも絶対にあの子だけはどんなことがあっても守りたいと思った。
But I knew I wanted to protect my daughter, no matter what.
苦しませたくなかった。
I didn't want her to suffer.
あの子の笑顔はとても愛おしくて、
Her smile is so beautiful.
小さな小さな手のひらは可愛くて、
Her tiny hands are so cute.
あの子は私のすべてだから、
She is everything to me.
かけがえのない存在だから。
She is irreplaceable.
あの子には罪はないの。
Besides, none of this is her fault.
この世に存在するありとあらゆる生命と同じように、あの子は祝福されて生まれてきたのよ。
She was welcome to this world just like any other life was born here.
同時にあの子を産み落とした瞬間、私は死んだの。
But at the same time, the moment I gave birth to her, I died.
私はもうこの世界にいないも同然。
It was as if I no longer existed.
なぜなら
You see,
私はあの子に命を、私の存在のすべてを
I gave all my life, my existence, to my child. You showed me the photograph again. The baby in the picture was reaching out, trying to grab something. It's such a... Oh.
もしもし、聞こえてるか？
Hey, hello, are you listening to me? Sorry, your baby is just so precious. You grabbed my shoulders and shook me.
ねえ、一体どうしちゃったっていうのよ、少年。
What's the matter with you, kid? Wait. Your baby. No, that is you. You are the baby.
まさか 今年が西暦何年かってことまで忘れちゃってたわけ？
You can't possibly have forgotten what year it is, can you? Her words made no impression on me. What on earth? My mouth was dry and the palm of my clenched fist was drenched with sweat. First of all, I began to think things through. The you that I knew, the you standing in front of me, Yubise Aki Kana, was born on the 22nd of September 2015. Her mother was Yubise Harukana. That meant it was 2034, 17 years after Yubise Harukana's time in 2017. No, but wait, what about the date on that mail? It had been received on February 7th. Wait, okay, that always trips me up. However you read that. What, July 19th, 2002? My voice came out strangled. It's 2034 now. Yuki-san died 15 years ago, which would have been in 2019. But the date on that says that.
ああ、それ？
Oh, that?
そんなこと気にしてたんだ。
You were worried about that? You
あ
laughed.
あ、勘違いするのも無理はないか。
Well, I can understand why you might make that mistake.
あのね、
Do you see?
メールに書いてあった受信日時はドイツ式の表記を使ってるの。
The date on that mail was written in the German style. Wait, so you mean I actually read the date correctly all along, and the game told me I read it wrong, so I believed it because...
だ
Oh!
から年、月、日じゃなくって月、日、年の順番で表されるんだ。
Not the Japanese order of year, month, day, but month, day, year. Yeah, that's how I read things, month, day, year. Actually, yeah, I read it month, day, year. So, are you telling me that that wasn't July 19th, 2002? It was February 7th, 2019. That's exactly what I said when I said it. You nodded.
他にご質問は？
Any other questions? Yeah, when they localized this, maybe they should have, like, reversed it completely. Because in my brain, I read it correctly the first time, but then the game told me, well, actually, that was genius that they did the way they did, because it totally tripped me up. Yeah, it totally tripped me up, and I never even guessed it. Any other questions? I shook my head weakly and trudged out of the security office. I had figured out the relationship between you and her mother, but wondered whether I should tell her. No, I had to tell her. That was better for you in the long run. Plus, it's why she can't log into the username, because she's using the wrong name. But first, I had to take care of my own problems. There was somewhere I had to go.
もう何よ。
What is it?
いきなりこんなとこに連れてきてどうするつもり？
What did you bring me here for? I wanted to talk to you guys alone.
話したいこと？
About what? Oh, the dots. Sugumi was silent. She seemed to be afraid of something. Sugumi perhaps already sensed what I was going to say. Her eyes flew around wildly.
それって重要なことなの？
Is it important? Yes, very. It's something I don't want the others to hear. Wait, I don't mind if they hear it, but I want you and Sugumi to know first. So that's why I asked you to come over here.
で、その重要な話っていうのは？
So, what's so important? Hadn't Sarah noticed anything? Her blank, unguarded expression? She had to have noticed something. On May 1st, after Sarah met Sugumi for the first time, she had looked totally dazed. Surely Sarah had sensed something. To be standing there calmly, she had to be in denial. Reason was telling her that what she suspected couldn't be true. The coincidence of meeting her mother again was probably too much for Sarah to believe.
ねえ、なんで黙ってるの？早く教えてよ。
Well, are you going to say anything? Could you hurry up? Sarah urged me to get to the point. Sugumi said nothing, but her breathing seemed a little rough. Sarah, could you lend me your pendant and lighter for a moment?
いいけど。
All right. She took them out of her pocket and gave them to me. I struck a flame, illuminating the pendant. Takeshi. That was the real Kurenari Takeshi. Then who was our Kurenari Takeshi? I held the pendant and the flame closer to Sugumi. Sugumi kept her head down, refusing to look up at the pendant. Her brow was furrowed and she was biting her lip. Her arms pressed tightly to her sides. Her clenched fists were shaking. Look closer. I whispered to her. You've seen this pendant before, haven't you? Oh, the dots. It's Takeshi. The real Kurenari Takeshi is right here. The moment I said those words, Tsugumi's eyes flew wide open. Stripped of expression, she wore a face like a mask, only her eyes burned with a fierce light.
ちょっと待って。何よそれ。どういうこと？
Wait just a minute. What are you talking about?
たけしってあのたけしのこと？
Takeshi? You mean Takeshi?
そこに写ってるのがたけしなの？
Takeshi's the one in this pendant? No. The Takeshi we know isn't the real Kurenari Takeshi. I think he's lying to us.
え？
Oh, the questionable dots? The real Takeshi, the real Kurenari Takeshi, is your and my father. Tsugumi closed her eyes. She breathed out a long sigh. I could see the tension leave Tsugumi's body.
ねえ、どういうことなの、お兄ちゃん？
Hey, what's this all about, Oni-chan?
ちゃんと説明してよ。
Explain what's happening. Alright, but before I do, I want to check something. I hesitated about what to say next. I looked above my head. The sky was full of stars. The single whale twisted and floated through space. Whale, where did you go all by yourself? Will you meet someone special one day? Snap. I extinguished the lighter. I gripped the pendant and the lighter in my hand. Tsugumi's outline was crazy in the dark. She was our long sought after mom. When I called out to her, warm tears ran down my cheeks. You are our mother, aren't you? Our mother. Mom. You are, aren't you?
え？
What? Tsugumi slowly opened her eyes. She looked at Sarah and me. I could see the tears in her eyes. Mom, please say something. I don't blame you for anything. I've waited for you for so long. I've been waiting for you. All the dots. All the dots. Answer, Mom. I screamed at her. Sarah clung to my arm. Shaking her head, she buried her face in my chest. Her thin body was shaking. Don't just stand there, say something. Holding Sarah tightly, I stepped forward.
違うわ。
No,
私は母親なんかじゃない。
I'm not your mother. Don't you lie to me. I know everything. 17 years ago, there was another accident just like this one here at Lemieux. You and Takeshi became a couple. Tsugumi was shedding huge tears. She tried to stop them. Her breath was ragged and came out in hiccups. Her face twisted as she struggled to keep control of her emotions. Tears welled in her eyes and rolled down her cheeks.
ええ。そうよ。
Yes, that's right. Maybe that's the whole purpose of everything. Maybe the whole purpose of this game is so that we can go back in time 17 years ago to save our father, Takeshi. Maybe that's why we have such a strong link with Takeshi. Because he's our dad.
確かにそう。
You're right.
私はあなたたちを産んだ。
I gave birth to you,
でも
but
私にはお母さんなんて呼ばれる資格は
I have no right to be called mother.
あなたたちにはもう本当の母親がいるでしょ。
You have a real mother, don't you?
優しいお母さんがいるでしょ。
Someone who took care of you.
私はあなたたちを
I
守れなかった。
wasn't able to protect you both.
守れなかったの。
I couldn't take care of you.
捨てたも同然なのよ。
I pretty much abandoned you.
置き去りにして見捨てたの。
I left you and walked away.
ひどいでしょ。許せないでしょ。
I'm terrible, and I don't expect you to be able to forgive me.
だから私は
That's why
母親なんかじゃないのよ。
I'm not your mother.
お母さんなんて
Please,
呼ばないで。
don't call me Mother.
お願い。だから。
Please, don't. Sugumi put her head in her hands and sobbed. And at that moment,
ママママママ
Oh! Oh! She's talking about my mom in in the last episode. And to see this here, oh god. Sarah tore herself from me and flew into Sugumi's arms. Following her lead, I clung to Sugumi and cried as well. The first thing I noticed was her familiar smell. I breathed in her scent deeply. Covered in tears, wallowing in the warmth, I felt as if I had regained everything I had ever lost. The three of us held each other tightly. Relishing the touch of one another, entwined, our hearts became one. We were no longer our individual selves, but one collective identity. There were no boundaries between us. My whole being was filled with warmth. Beside me, Sarah's cheeks were wet with tears. Sugumi was soft, and her skin was sweet and sticky. I recalled the long-forgotten memories of my mother's smell. It wasn't exactly the same feeling as nostalgia. It was primitive, something instinctive, a sweetness that had been wired directly into my brain.
ママ
Mom. As if in response, Sugumi pulled us in closer, gripping us with a fierce determination. She buried her face in Sarah's and my hair, drew us close, and stroked the back of our heads.
ごめんね
I'm sorry.
ごめんごめんなさい
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sugumi's voice choked up.
許してなんて言えないけど
I can't ask you to forgive me.
私
I
今まで一度もあなたたちのこと忘れたことは
I
なか
never
った
once forgot about you.
ずっとあなたたちに
All this time,
会いたくて
I've wanted to see you,
会いたくて
find you,
謝りたくて
and apologize.
もういいの
It's alright.
ママもう謝ったりなんかしなくていいの
You don't need to apologize.
私はママに会えただけで それだけで
It's enough just to be with you. Now we know why they were both like locked up, because they were experimented on because of their mom. As we held on to each other, we understood everything. Sarah and I accepted everything, understood, and forgave. Oh, reason toward important. At that moment, a quiet peace filled us. It was enough. We didn't require anything else. I relaxed and leaned against my mother. She was warm. I closed my eyes and was intoxicated by her warmth. Mom. Mom. Cozy slumber. A soft breeze under the May sunshine. Peace. It was like floating on the calm ocean. Swaying comfortably. Cuddled up together. Before I knew it, I had stopped crying. All I could hear was just our calm breathing and my mother's heartbeat. Thump thump, thump thump, thump thump. I was alive. Or maybe I had just been born. Everything was affirmed, accepted, and forgiven. There was no me, nor Sarah, nor Sugumi. There was only one life connected together. Just one single soul. In the year 2017, May 7th at 11 a.m., the men from Liblik were waiting for Sugumi when she got to the floating island. Sugumi, a carrier of the Curie Virus. To them, she was a valuable sample. Their eyes glaring and mouths half open, she could see their dark, wet tongues. It was almost possible for Tsugumi to smell the reek of their excitement, like the smell of men lusting after flesh. It was a fetid stench, greasy and rotten. For it was Tsugumi's body that they were after. What they wanted was nothing more than to perform human experiments under the pretext of making the ultimate human dream come true. By using Tsugumi's body, they were planning to gain knowledge, fame, and fortune. That was indeed their desire. "We've been waiting for you," one of them took a deep bow. Behind his veneer of politeness was an evil that threatened to spill forth, making Tsugumi sick to her stomach. Some of the others in his entourage licked their lips, swallowing the saliva like dogs gone mad with the hunt. That instant, Tsugumi kicked her off the ground, breaking into a run. She ran across the wide surface of the huge artificial island, desperately scaling that high surrounding fence, and fled into the nearby foliage. The cacophony of screams and angry cursing faded behind her. Tsugumi hid and waited upon nightfall. She held a single hamster to her chest. At night, a supply-carrying vessel slipped out of the floating island's port. Tsugumi had stowed away on the vessel, hiding herself among the cargo. She was headed to the mainland. From that moment on, Tsugumi's life was consumed with one thought: how to escape from them. Although she wasn't a criminal, she avoided people, preferring to hide in the darkness, all the while threatened by ominous feelings of being hunted. Nothing changed after she safely made to land. Every few weeks, she moved from one town to another, wandering in the darkness. She slept under bridges, under backstreet caves, under backstreet eaves, pipes pouring into the ocean, and even public restrooms. It was an endless cycle of running. She never had a second's peace. She couldn't turn to the police. She had no place to live. Her identity was uncertain, and her age and appearance didn't match. The police would only doubt her. Information regarding Tsugumi had spread through the national police network, so it was only a matter of time before LeBlick would find her. LeBlick's influence even extended to national politics. There was nothing else for Tsugumi to do but continue to hide in the back alleys. She hated LeBlick. They had destroyed everything Tsugumi had cared about and made her life a living hell. What was more, they had taken away the love of her life, Kurenari Takeshi. She wanted to get revenge on LeBlick with every fiber of her being. Tsugumi came to hate the world, and her heart became even more hardened to it. 2 months had passed. It was summertime. All of a sudden, she began feeling sick. She knew she had stopped menstruating, but she didn't want to think about the possibility. She went to visit an illegal doctor who was well known in the back streets. Tsugumi was pregnant. She was sure it was Takeshi's baby. She'd never been with anyone else. She was pregnant. And that night, she went to the deserted coastal area of a small nearby town. There was nothing but printing factories and abandoned houses. Unsure if it was a river or the ocean, she sat on a boat dock looking at a neon sign by the highway. She touched her stomach. She felt a sense of awe and joy at the fact that there was life going in her belly and that was connected to her. The neon light glittered and flickered off of the water surface. Tsugumi looked at the lights with her hands on her stomach. Realizing that Takeshi's babies were inside her, she couldn't stop crying. They might have only been a centimeter big at that time, but the survival of the two babies outstripped the needs of her mother's body that surrounded them. Tsugumi almost had the illusion that it wasn't her who bore the children, but was actually they who bore her. Everything that she was, she poured into her two babies. She felt that she was part of the babies, not the other way around. It was then that Tsugumi decided to sacrifice everything for the two tiny lives. Love was a concept to her, but if her love could be brought into physical form, to her it seemed it might be the babies in her. That was it. Love was growing inside her. Takeshi and Tsugumi's babies. Before long, the hatred she had felt toward everything had disappeared without a trace. For the first time, Tsugumi felt as though there were a higher power guarding her life. 7 months later, January 21st, 2018, Tsugumi was suddenly struck with contractions. When they came, the back alley doctor had gone somewhere. She visited a nearby clinic. She had no medical inserts, no identification, and most importantly, no money. When he found out that she couldn't pay, the doctor beat Tsugumi as though she was a stray animal. Oh, that's horrible. With nowhere else to go, the two babies were born in an old boat shack. An old woman was living there, but Tsugumi couldn't tell whether she lived there or was just a vagrant. It was that old woman who helped Tsugumi through the birth. Oh, how precious, so precious. You've done a fine job, dearie. The old woman repeated that many times as she gently rinsed the babies in a tin basin. The sweat-covered Tsugumi was laying down with only a thin towel between her and a hardwood floor. Segumi's eyes gazed unfocused out a nearby window. Snow was falling outside. Oh, darling, yes, a precious boy and girl. Which one will you hold first? The legal doctor had told her, so she was expecting twins, but she never imagined that they would be fraternal. A bit surprised, she said, both at the same time. Wrapped in old cloth, Sugumi gently held them to her chest. Not to worry, my dearie. I boiled them cloth and the scissors what cut the cord in hot water good, I did. Thank you. Sugumi thanked her. Thank you very much. She gave thanks for the two lives who had been born safely. Thank you. And those last words directed toward the deep darkness beyond the window. The snow was falling. The two babies pressed to Sugumi's chest with their eyes closed, let out small yarns. The Curie Virus. Soon after she had given birth, Sugumi's thoughts returned to that possibility. If they got infected by Curie while they were inside of me, and if their DNA was altered just like me, Sugumi visited the illegal doctor. Don't worry about it, he explained, laughing. According to taxonomic classification, a pure human would belong to primates, Anthropodia, Hominidia, Hominidae, Homo sapiens. Sugumi, whose genetic information was altered by the Curie virus, was not a pure human anymore, but rather a subspecies of it. Let's just call you subspecies Curie for now. Now, any kids who were born from Takeshi, the Homo sapiens, and Sugumi the Curie would technically be hybrids. Now, by the way, I guess I should tell you that the Curie virus only affects pure humans, the Homo sapiens. So there's no way the Curie virus could possibly affect the two little hybrids there. While not much is known about the Curie virus, some of the unique functions scientists have discovered, such as regenerating telomeres and regenerative healing, are inherited recessively. For blood types, without exception, all children born from a type AA father and a type OO mother, for instance, can only be type AO with a type A predisposition. Why? Because type A factors are inherited dominantly and type O factors are inherited recessively. In order for a child's blood type to be type O, you'd have to have a mixture of either AOXAO, AOXBO, AOXOO, BOXBO, BOXOO, or OOXOO. It can only be from one of the above, meaning that both the parents gotta add that type O factor to the genetic milkshake. Same goes for the Curie virus. Any child born from a pureblood sapiens and Curie will all be sapiens Curie and inhabit the dominant physical traits of both. For them Rugrats to become full-blooded Curie, the parents would have to be Curie X Curie, Sapiens Curie X Curie, or Sapiens Curie X Sapiens Curie. Any of those combinations mean that both parents have to be part or all Curie. And since these two little critters were born from a pure Sapiens and pure Curie, they'll have the same physical traits as a pure human and will possess the Curie traits like perpetual youth. So you don't have anything to worry about, alright? The doctor held up the two babies Sugumi had brought and laughed again. Sugumi didn't know his background. It was probable that he had been part of the ImperialIX laboratory staff in the past since he knew so much about the Curie virus. But he didn't seem to be one of them. Sugumi figured she could trust him. Among outcasts, there was an unspoken law. You don't go nosing around in other people's past. Sugumi didn't ask him anything more, and he didn't demand to know anything about her either. A year after giving birth, it was winter again, and Sugumi rented a tiny room and lived together with the two babies. Of course, Chemu was there as well. It was a quiet coastal town. It wasn't a city or tourist town, or fishing or farming, nothing, just a dreary port town. And during the day, Sugumi worked for next to nothing at a sewing factory while the baby stayed at a daycare center. Unfortunately, I hate to pause it here. Like, I don't want to pause this. I really don't. I want to just keep going forward, but we're already well over an hour and like 10 minutes. And, yeah, I need to stop. But, man. Oh. Big time episode. Like, huge. This part really helped explain a lot. It still doesn't explain Coco. Okay, there's still unanswered questions that we need to figure out. But it does explain a lot. And we finally have some answers. Oh, and such heartbreaking answers too. Oh. Oh. I'm emotionally drained at the moment. I love you all so very much. Thank you for everything. And until next time, so long. And take care. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to comment on what you saw and what you would like to see next. I always love to hear your thoughts. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more. Also, please do not forget, you matter, you are brilliant, and you are loved. and you should always remember to be true to yourself. Don't let the world tell you any different. Much love to you from your friendly feathered flightless bird. Till next time.